You've been listening to Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre speaking in Indian River, Ontario, coming out against a proposed high-speed rail project between Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, it's called Alto, calling the $90 billion project a monstrosity and saying that it'll cost $8,000 tax dollars a year per family, that a majority of Canadians say they'll never use it, and that it won't be open if it's even built before 2037. He also talked a little bit he criticized Mark Carney, saying that he's on the economy. He promised to be first. He's delivered the worst. He said he referred to the Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta as a fake MOU. And on proroguing Parliament, he was asked about rumors about the Liberals proroguing Parliament. He said it's time for the Carney Liberals to get to work. I should mention that the Prime Minister was asked about this earlier, and he said he is not considering proroguing Parliament. The CBC's Ashley Burke has been listening in, and she joins us live from Ottawa. So, Ashley, what stood out to you about this announcement?
Well, we've heard the Conservative leader before talk about his concerns about this proposal to build Canada's first high rail project. But this is the first time we heard him draw a line and say that he was calling on the Liberal government to end it. As you mentioned, he called it a monstrosity. He raised concerns about the costs, about the timeline. And this is a 1,000-kilometer proposed line that would run between Toronto and Quebec City with stops along the way, including in Peterborough, where Pierre Poilievre was making this announcement today. And it's been pitched as a way to get from Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours, so about half the time it would take to drive there. But there has been a lot of pushback from the communities in some of the rural areas in Ontario and Quebec where this line would run through. Families and farm owners, for example, have raised concerns that this rail line would divide communities and also divide their property lines. Alto, the Crown Corporation that you mentioned that's behind the project, that is backed by the government, says that they are studying properties to try and pick the route which they say that would have the least impact, but that they do plan on moving forward with this project. And there have been protests in some of these communities over this. The government itself has put aside $3.9 billion in the budget over 6 years to back the design phase of this. But as you heard the Conservative leader mention there, the costs are expected to be much higher in the tens of billions of dollars to actually build the project.
And Ashley, Poilievre also took a question about how he's been framing the government's gun buyback program. What did you make of his answer?
Yeah, today is the cutoff day for Canadians to declare if they have an assault-style weapon that is banned in Canada. And the Public Safety Minister's office says that as of Friday, 57,000 weapons have been declared, and that's far lower than what the government had budgeted for. They had planned to spend or put aside about $250 million to compensate gun owners for these weapons, estimating about 136,000 firearms that would cover. But Natalie Provost, a Liberal MP who survived Ecole Polytechnique, she pointed the finger today at the Conservatives and the gun lobbying program for not being more gun lobbying groups, for there not being more of an uptick in this program, because she said they created a lot of confusion about it. And you heard Poilievre respond to a question about that. They are saying that he feels that the government is targeting law-abiding citizens instead of criminals. The government argues that's not the case.
Ashley, thank you. That's the CBC's Ashley Burke live in Ottawa.